All right. Welcome to Crossbar Conversations with Don and Blige, powered by the United Goalkeeping Alliance. We want you to come in, sit back, and enjoy a podcast all about goalkeeping on the pitch, sideline to sideline, and everything in between. Whether you're a coach, goalkeeper, a parent, we are exploring every corner of the position with honest conversations, pushing the culture of goalkeeping forward and opening up space for the discussions that matter. Kind of talk others shy away from, but booyah! We lean into them. No holds barred. Big thanks to our sponsor, the United Goalkeeping Alliance. We'll share more about the UGKA later in the show, but for now, let's get this party started. Here's Don, Blige, and Eric.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Crossbar Conversations with Don and Blige, powered by the United Goalkeeping Alliance. Paul, Don, welcome, boys.
Thank you. Great to be here. Great to be here again.
Today.
I'm looking forward to meeting Jon. I've heard so much about him that I got to make sure it's all true.
Well, I pay a lot of people to keep that right up.
Is those checks in the mail?
Yes, sir.
Right. I haven't received my paycheck, so all fair is in love and war today. Let's first introduce Johnny. We're going to start back with his collegiate career. His first team All-American in 1996 at the likes of UNC Charlotte. Then went into the pros where Johnny had a successful 20-plus year career with the likes of Columbus, Chicago, and San Jose. He was up for MLS Goalkeeper of the Year in 2007 with Chicago. And I believe, and John, did I get that right? Or you were a finalist in 2004 with Columbus. Yeah. You won the award in 2007 with Chicago.
2008.
Gotcha. Thank you. He got a 20-plus year career. Everything went fantastic for Johnny. Congratulations, sir. Then went into the pro ranks where Johnny started coaching. He coached for the likes of Indy 11, Hibernian over in Scotland, as well as with the Pittsburgh Riverhounds here in the USL Championship, which just ended this past season with a championship. Johnny, congratulations on your 2025 USL Championship. And welcome, sir. Good to have you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited. Paul, Don, excited to talk goalkeeping with you guys today.
Hey, I got a question. You
already? Holy moly.
I know.
Good Lord.
But I just
straight out of the gate. Here we go.
Out. It's 8 seconds, man. Stay on. So you were with Hibernian. Did you play or coach Ailey Tibbett?
No, no.
I know she was Hibernian.
No, I was with the men. So not the women.
Okay. All right. She plays over there. I used to coach her. She was a scholarship player for University of Florida, and then her family's from Scotland. So she moved over there. I know she's for Midlothian. Is that how I pronounce it? She is now. So anyway, all right.
Okay. Now there was, because they used to work out in the gym at our facility as well. So there was one American girl. She was the goalkeeper at the time. I can't remember her name, but we kind of would chit chat when we saw each other. You know, I think we were the only two Americans in the whole building. So, we at that time the women did not train at the training facility. They were somewhere else when I was there. But I think now everything is at the training facility. So I think there's much more interaction now.
All right, gotcha.
All right, fellas, let's get rolling. Let's get into this topic today: club structure with GK development and the goalkeeper department, the goalkeeping director, the goalkeeper coaches, their roles within the club around the club structure of goalkeeping development. Johnny, when you were with Indy 11, Hibernian, and the Riverhounds, you are kind of the goalkeeping director and kind of oversees everything from grassroots right up to the pro first team. So we found this could be something of value to bring you on, and looking forward to hearing your insights. Love to talk about how the current structure is on a lot of clubs, what the ideal structure might look like. In addition to wherever this conversation goes, we all have a ton of opinions and questions on this topic. But to start, John, if I could just give you opening remarks, if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah. So I think, everything is advanced in today's world, right? Everybody has a player profile. Everybody has a PowerPoint, and their ideal goalkeeper or their ideal setup. And I think, all of us on this will say, you can have that and it looks great in a PowerPoint or on paper or whatever. But once you get into a certain situation, whether it was in Indy, whether it was over at Hibs, whether it's now here with Pittsburgh, like there's what you think it looks like. And then once you look under the hood, what it actually looks like. And you find out, oh, okay, I thought I was going to have to, take on this task. I actually need to start over here. Right. So, and I'll give you a perfect example. When I first came here, obviously primary job is with the first team. So we kind of got through preseason, January, February, and then I think it was end of February, beginning of March is when I also started, kind of taking over the academy and looking at that. And what I actually did in our facility, everybody was indoor at that time. There's a second level where the parents in. So for the first 2 weeks before I was introduced to the goalkeeping staff, I just stood up there and I watched. And I almost acted like I was a parent because I didn't want them to know I was around. I wanted to see what their training sessions look like, how they were organized, the spacing, all that without kind of any pressure on my staff or vice versa, pressure on me being around and them knowing, oh, the director is now here watching kind of thing. I wanted to see it from afar. And so when I did that, I realized like what I thought was going to be needed to be addressed. Actually, I had to backtrack a few steps. We didn't have enough staff. We had, it was almost like they didn't put sessions together prior to getting in the building. They were it was a bit random. Right. And I would watch. And I mean, one of the trainers did everything from handling to crosses to kicking to literally everything. 1v1s in a 30-minute period at one point. And I was like, holy moly, what am I watching? It's like a Sunday jambalaya, so I kind of had to backtrack. And, something, and you guys will understand this, something as simple as I had one trainer who she did not have any Riverhounds gear. And it sounds crazy, right? It sounds like, how does she not have gear? She didn't have gear. So that's something I did not have on my list, things I needed to take care of, but as you guys know, you get into these situations and you look under the hood of your car and it's different than what you probably expected. So it was quite interesting to me to come here and to figure out where I needed to kind of start my focus with the academy and then build out, kind of build the foundation of the house, if you will.
So given that, I've spoke to quite a few goalkeepers that I train here in Tennessee, and they describe their training environment with these clubs. And it's much like what you're talking about. It's eerily close. And so I asked this question a few episodes ago. All these clubs think, or they espouse player development in every aspect, but goalkeeping.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but all these clubs are all about money too. They want to make money. And I understand money's a part of it. You got to pay staff. You got to have facility. I get it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But don't you think it would be a selling point for clubs to really invest in a tangible, meaningful developmental program for goalkeepers? Because it doesn't seem like anybody else is really doing it except a very select few of clubs. Rare, almost unknown.
Yeah.
And so why don't they do it?
I think there's multiple pieces to that answer. I think one is money. To do it right, you need a lot of, I've got 9 or 10 part-time trainers right now. Right. And that's how many I have working, and I can use more. I need more, now they all have other jobs, right? They all have real jobs. So they rotate, and you guys have all been there, on a Tuesday night when you're going out for training and you have 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and you think you're going to have 6 goalkeepers and then 15 show up, or the opposite way. You think you're going to have 12 and 2 show up. or there's two different age groups where it's really different and you need to split them, right? So one of the things I do here is I make sure we at least have two goalkeeper coaches every night at every session. That way, if the numbers get too big, or if I need to split, they can split, and I can take, the younger couple, and Eric can take the olders. That way, they stay at their work level, right? If I only have one trainer there, and now he's got 3 10-year-olds and 6, 16-year-olds, you can't do it. You can't. It's just too. I mean, you can. Don't get me wrong. Anything can be done, but to do it properly, you need to be able to split those groups. So that kind of stuff was the stuff I was figuring out on the fly when I started getting around the academy. Hey, I need more trainers. And not just going to get anybody. They had to be at a certain level. I needed a certain level, or it was my responsibility to get them to that level that we needed, and I take a lot of pride in our staff, because I think they've come a long, long way. And I now have, even though I call him my assistant goalkeeper director, a kid named Austin. He's over at RMU, but he's basically my right-hand man for the last year and a half now. And he's here almost every night, which allows me to go home, at 5:00 and cook dinner and not worry about what's going on in the academy. Some nights I will stay and watch and hang out with him, and we'll discuss things. But the early days, I was spending a lot of time, not just in the facility, but here in the evenings as well. I had long, long days just because I needed to really dig in and kind of get it right. And I feel like now we have a very good foundation. We do have a PowerPoint that we work off of, from a technical aspect, from a tactical aspect. We send our goalkeepers pieces of that PowerPoint throughout their season, whether it's on distribution, whether it's on angle play, whether it's on starting positions, all this kind of stuff. But none of that was there when I first got here. So there's been a lot of work in the 3 years I've been here.
John, you say how many assistants do you have?
Right now, it's either 9 or 10.
Wow. And that is all, they're all paid by the academy?
They're all paid by the academy. It's per hour. And depending on their coaching licenses and their experience, we have a chart on where they go. And then they can, as they advance in their coaching degrees, we'll bump them up in salary.
I think that's a unique situation, because to hear you have that many people underneath you, that's, God bless you, man.
Well, when I got here, Paul, there were only, I think it was either 3 or 4, right? And again, I was watching situations where one goalkeeper trainer would have 15 goalkeepers, and I'm like, that we can't have that. To get player development and to put these goalkeepers in the best environment we can training wise, I can't have that. And I can't have, 9-year-olds with 15-year-olds. It's not going to work.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I looked at every different way to move the schedule around. And as you guys know, better than I do, sometimes these coaches that coach, let's say, whatever, an under 10 team also coach an under 15 team. So to try to move times of training around, I couldn't. So the easiest thing that I figured out after really looking at the training schedule was, okay, I just need to add another goalkeeper coach to that night. And that's why I started doing 2, sometimes 3, depending on our numbers, goalkeeper coaches at every session. That way we can split if there are bigger numbers.
Sorry, Don, but is that payment structure all come through, obviously, through the academy? So they take care of all your goalkeeper coaches, which if that,
correct.
Okay, well, that's a very unique situation. It's like, first of all, to get that number of people, that's fantastic. A lot of these clubs only have one goalkeeper coach, or you might even call him a goalkeeper trainer. We had that conversation, with Mike Common. But you're fortunate. You really are fortunate.
No, yeah, I know we're really, really fortunate, and we've had we've got some very good ones. I've got, I had, until she went to Northwestern, I had the female coach at RMU, Reagan. She now just went to Northwestern. I've got the men's coach, Austin, like I was telling you a minute ago. I have the Duquesne's goalkeeper coach, Bella. She's fantastic, although she's also a nurse and she works nights. So sometimes I don't see her for a while, but I'm very fortunate. I have a very good staff. Yes.
Cool. Good for you, man.
Yeah, that's impressive. I honestly, to Eric's philosophy on this, that fits closer to what you ideally see in a utopia of goalkeeping than anybody we've talked to.
Yeah.
So my question to you, because I'm the only goalkeeper coach within the club that I work with here, do you also, in situations, instead of training ages, do you train skill for skill? So an example would be, you've got a 12-year-old that's like, okay, they can handle the pressure, the mentality, the pace that we're going at 14, 15 years old. Do you move goalkeepers up?
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
awesome.
we will. Yes,
awesome.
we will. And I've been doing that for years. And I'll give you an example. When I was at Indy Fire in Carmel, Indiana, I also did a lot of private training on the side. And, I had the MLS Next kids. I had a kid who, his name is Ryan Hunsucker, and he's about to go to IU in the fall, but he still plays for now their Indy 11, the academy, and he's unbelievable goalkeeper. But back then, technically he was fantastic, but he wasn't quite big enough and strong enough yet. But what I would do in the winters when I had the pros in the building training, I would bring him around to do some of the work with them. Because I knew technically he was fine. I just knew at a certain point, like when we started getting really live, he wasn't quite ready. But I wanted to kind of start dripping that into him because I knew in a year or two he would get there. And by the time I think I started doing that when he was like 12, right? Somewhere around there. By the time he was 14, 15, he was training full out with them. Right. So I've always believed in that, in the fact of like, if they're good enough, I don't care about their age. Right. It's the same thing with height. I mean, you guys know how tall I am, and I never believed in it. Yes. Is there advantage? Is there disadvantage? And all that stuff I agree with. But at the end of the day, if he or she is good enough and if they can train at a higher level, then they need to train at a higher level.
John, every single parent thinks their kid should be training at a higher level. How do you maintain expectations with parents?
Yeah, that's always those are always fun conversations, right? Because little Johnny's the best goalkeeper in the world in his mom's eyes. I mean, listen, my mom, when I played, thought I was the best in the world, and I had to tell her I'm not even the best in our city, But yeah, those are conversations where you just have to be honest with them. And some, as you
Thank
guys
you.
some, you guys know better than I do. Sometimes parents are realistic and they understand, and sometimes, especially in today's world, they don't understand and they don't want to even hear it. Right? There's just not reality there. And I think it's gotten worse in that aspect compared to when all of us came up. I don't think my mom or dad ever talked to my college or any of my coaches, club coaches, high school coaches, college coach, nothing.
They should.
If I wasn't playing and I complained to dad about it, he was, well, you need to do more. You need to be better.
Or go talk to the coach yourself. This isn't my conversation to have. This is your playing time, not mine. Go talk to him.
But now it's like, how many emails do you get or text messages from parents? And it's crazy now. It's crazy,
I got so much pushback within our club from the parents, not the DOC or anything. When at the very first of the season, we had too many levels of goalkeepers. We had keepers that were very good. And I'm talking at the young levels, right? Mm-hmm. And then we had a big gap between players that were constantly breaking the session down and players that were frustrated by that. So I went to and said, okay, we're not doing age to age anymore. I know who the keepers are. We're doing skill for skill. Mm-hmm. And so I moved a U14 player down to train with the 11s and 12s. And the dad had a conniption.
Yeah.
It's like he can't even, when I put him in an environment with the older players, he cannot keep up. So it's unfair to him because I think the kid looks around and goes, wow, I can't do that. Right. Yeah. But now you take him back to a more developmental area because I believe there's chronological age and there's a soccer age. Right. You may be 14 years old, but your soccer age may be 10.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
And so I had to have this conversation with the dad about if you put him in this environment, he's going to learn the basics, progress, so he can get to the older levels because he can't keep. Oh, and he was like, well, you've got this player that you 12 that you've moved up. I'm like, yeah, because she can keep up. And the older keepers actually respect that kid that's 12.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
But they see her grit, her resilience, her effort, and they're like, oh, yeah. And it's just amazing. But that talk with parents, I love the fact that you said it has to be an honest discussion.
Yeah.
Because other coaches will just fluff it up and cover it over and all that. No, let's do what's right for the kid. Not what you think is right. Let's do what's right for them. So bravo to you.
100%. And when I know I'm going into one of those tough conversations, I will tell the parents, listen, you're probably not going to like what I'm going to say here, but I'm being honest for the development of your son or your daughter. This is where they are in reality. This is where we want to get them, but you have to. And maybe that's just because, I grew up in New York, and New Yorkers, we just say what we want to say kind of thing.
Here we go. New York, New Jersey, blah, blah,
maybe
blah.
That's what it is.
Boston guy.
I can have that same attitude. I don't always have to be a Southern gentleman.
We will be back after this message from our sponsors.
Goalkeeper coaches, are you spread too thin? Are you coaching small groups? Are you coaching at a club? Are you coaching private sessions? Are you coaching in college? Are you selling equipment? Are you selling gloves? Are you running your own camps? Are you running your own clinics? Simply put, everybody, goalkeeper coaches have a lot going on and they need at least 4 to 5 resources to make it work as a goalkeeper coach. Here at the United Goalkeeping Alliance, we're here to help all goalkeeper coaches with their development in their goalkeeper coaching careers. For $99 a year, yes, a cup of coffee a month, you will join the United Goalkeeping Alliance as a goalkeeper coach and have the opportunity to collaborate with over 175 goalkeeper coaches worldwide. You'll have an immediate connection into the collegiate game to be able to share your highlight film of your goalkeepers, in addition to the ability to recruit if you are a goalkeeper coach at the collegiate level. You'll have 24/7 online and live support with business ideas, curriculum, and lesson plan support. We will also promote your club, your academy, your equipment, and anything that you do through our social media outlets. Last but not least, and definitely an important variable, all UGKA coaches have the opportunity to earn 50% commissions on all clubs and goalkeepers that they bring in to the United Goalkeeping Alliance. If you'd like to learn more, please reach out to me, proud board member Eric Eisenhut of the United Goalkeeping Alliance, at the contact information above. Thank you for listening, and back to our episode.
And now back to our episode.
Johnny, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Expectations. You mentioned that you have a PowerPoint and you'll send out bits and pieces throughout the season to keep goalkeepers up to speed as to what your expectations are to learn, develop, etc. Do those go to the head coaches of your teams? And do you hold them accountable for knowing what the goalkeepers should know? And what's your relationship between the goalkeeper coaches / trainers you have and the head coaches within your club?
Yeah, I think this has been an ongoing process, just like with my goalkeeper coaches or even our goalkeepers. It was the same thing with the coaches, the head coaches of the teams, whether it was what we expected out of them or what we expected our goalkeeper to do for them in their teams. Again, as I'll use a simple example. When I first got here, we randomly had coaches just screaming across the field, "Hey, I want my goalkeepers now." We're 10 minutes into the session. And again, I'll say, "No, you're not getting them." So then, we have to have a discussion the next day, and so it's one of those where until you everybody buys into the system, right, they're going to try to take advantage of it. They just wanted their goalkeepers so they could just play right away.
Yeah.
Right. No, we need our time, because if we don't get our time in the technical piece of the puzzle before we send them back for the tactical, then on a Saturday when they make a mistake, who hears about it first? Your goalkeeper coach. You're going to get a text, and it's going to be like, oh, little Johnny, he was so bad today. Well, that's because you don't let him come to goalkeeper training, right? So that was one of my first conversations with the entire academy staff. We decided that they'll train twice a week. Every goalkeeper trains twice a week. The first session of the week is 45 minutes with the goalkeeper coaches, 45 minutes with their team environment. The second session, later towards a weekend game, will be 30 minutes with the goalkeeper coaches, and then an hour with the team environment, right? Because they're probably prepping for a game that weekend. Now, and I told them, I said, listen, if there are certain situations where you need them a little bit earlier, no problem. But what needs to happen is you need to text me by 2 p.m. that day, and you need to tell me. That way I can make sure my goalkeeper coaches know that, again, little Johnny has to go over to his team 20 minutes in or 15 minutes in, right? So I do, there are certain exceptions here and there, but I don't want it every week. And I don't want it, I need my goalkeepers in 10 minutes every single training session.
I'm going to continue with that if I could, John, regarding that relationship. A quick example. I know of a club that sends out similar what you do and sends those to parents and goalkeepers, obviously. And this specific example revolved around setting up a wall. And the goalkeeper set up a wall in a game that was exactly how the PowerPoint detailed, or exactly how the goalkeeping director wanted it done. The person who was the biggest against what this goalkeeper was doing in the game, and the goalkeeper got reamed out during the actual setup of the wall and at halftime, because the coach didn't look at or understand what the goalkeeping director had implemented goalkeepers to do. So there was a disconnect between the head coaches and the goalkeeping department. How do you manage that?
Yeah, again, you have to have these meetings, right? You have to sit
Between
down with all the
who's involved
the
in those
coaches.
meetings?
So with your goalkeeper director, your academy director, right? You two need to get on the same page, in my opinion, first. Once that's kind of sorted, then it's okay. I need to talk to all the head coaches.
You do personally? Like you have a meeting with all of them, or the goalkeeping director?
Yeah.
What are you saying in that meeting, Johnny?
I'm showing them the PowerPoint, and we're talking through, whether it's, like you said, walls, how we want to set walls, how are we defending on corner kicks, and again, there is some leniency for the older teams, right? Depending on the player profile of a goalkeeper, he or she, but especially in those younger age groups and kind of middle age groups, we want to have a kind of standardized, this is how we want it to look, right? And just as important as the information I give them, I want them to ask questions. The coaches,
that was
the head
my next
coaches.
question. Yep.
I want them. So it's more of, okay, this is how I see it. How do you see it? What are the questions you guys have for me? Because we need to work through those and get on the same page. So on a Saturday, when you guys are at a game and I have a goalkeeper coach on the sideline with you guys, and he or she is telling them one thing and you're arguing with your goalkeeper or your goalkeeper coach, we're not going to have that. Right. So there are a lot of conversations that I don't think some people realize how much kind of communication needs to go on almost on a continuous basis, especially with the older teams. Right. So there's a lot of behind the scenes as teams change, as players change, as goalkeeper profiles change. All of that comes into play.
I feel that's important, incredibly important, because sometimes I feel that the game goalkeeping model that clubs have, or the goalkeeping director has in their mind, their vision, isn't communicated to head coaches. And then head coaches don't have the don't have some head coaches don't know the goalkeeping position at all. And they're coaching 10 people, not 11. As such, they're going on what their experiences were during their playing days or their coaching days, what they've seen from an experience perspective.
Correct.
But they don't know the particulars. So it's almost like they need to be educated around the goalkeeping position by the goalkeeping director around what the club's game model is for goalkeeping. And it should go both ways, by the way. Like they should also be telling the goalkeeping department, like, hey, here's our team game model and how we want to play. Here's the goalkeeper's role. Can we work together on creating the development for that goalkeeper in the way this club wants to play? I feel that doesn't take place, John. I feel it doesn't take place at all, at anywhere. I'm talking even at sometimes the highest levels. And that to me is a huge mistake. How do we get rid of the ignorance of the head coach / director of coaching to help everyone understand, in our opinion, the most important position on the field that impacts how a team plays? And again, I'm going to continue with this in a second, but how do you do it? How do you get people to buy in?
It takes time, and it takes the ability to put your ego aside. And sometimes that's hard, right? Sometimes
go ahead, Don.
That's a key word. Bring it up.
You know, and this is something I've learned over my years going from Indy to Hibs to here. Like, you know, I think sometimes when you're younger, you want to be a bull in a china shop. This is how I want to do it, and this is what I say, and as you get older, you know, you realize sometimes you have to finesse conversations to get people on board to understand your side of things, and to allow them to drop their walls, right? Because every director, I don't care what club they are, whether they're in an MLS club, whether they're in an ECNL club, whatever, any, you know, top academy director is going to have an ego. They're gonna see it one way. But once you kind of get them to relax and understand that, listen, I'm not challenging you, I'm trying to make our club better, and they're willing to accept that, right? They're going to be open to these conversations, you know. But it's that at first of like, I'm the director, I know everything, right? Or I'm supposed to know everything, even goalkeeping, you know. And so you got to know you got to figure out how to talk to different people differently, but ultimately to get the same result. We just want to all sit down at a table and, you know, lay things out for the betterment of the teams and the goalkeepers and the club.
Mike Amon was on. We were talking to him the other day, and he said one of the best things he did, or one of the hardest things he did, is when he first started, he was that person that you just said, I know it all. This is how it's done. And
we were all like that.
Yeah. Well, then he quickly learned, like, he needs to be humble and he needs to start bringing in other opinions. And I don't know it all. I can learn from others, even though I played at this highest level. I can learn from others, and having that open mind. He mentioned that once he did that, everything became easier. Everything from communication to getting his education on. John, I'll let you continue with this because you know where I'm going with this. But that humbling of himself led to his success. And I think that's a key piece for people who just are getting involved. Like, know your moment. Goalkeeper coaching and head coaching, by the way. This is a mix here, going back and forth, but you need to work together as opposed to against. And I feel that can go a long way within clubs, is getting rid of that coaching ego.
Yeah.
That's something I've got to work on. I've got to work on having that, I guess, soften it up a little bit when you approach them, like you spoke to, John, which you're absolutely right, because I've been a team coach myself, and at the youth level, and I've been a college level head coach as well. I mean, I've had pretty good success, you know, several state championships, national finalists with the youth team. So I don't think coaches understand that I've been on both sides of it, right? I've been a head coach for the team, and then I'm a goalkeeper coach. But I need to learn, because I go into these meetings with these people going, I know I'm going to face ego. I know I'm going to face pushback. And I go into it like,
you're already geared up. You're already ready for the fight. Yeah.
And so to soften it, that's why I had that look whenever you said that. I'm like, oh, I don't know how to do that. So but you're absolutely right. And then I'm sort of surprised when they are like open to it, right? Like, oh, that throws me back. Like, oh, okay, so we can have this discussion. You're not already going to go back to. And I just had this recently with a coach. It was a U12, and it was involved that U12 goalkeeper I was talking about. So he wanted me to go over, corner kicks and when to go out because he was mad that his keeper didn't go out and win balls in the air, punch, and all this stuff. I'm like, there's certain times to do it and certain times not to do it. When you should engage, And honestly, when I said your philosophy on how you want to do set pieces and corner kicks, defend them, is your philosophy. And that's a conversation you need to have with them, right? I can give them, here's what it should look like, but does that change with you? And oh my God, you'd have thought I had hit a nerve, it was like, it was only supposed to fall to me. I'm like, no, if your team doesn't understand how you want to defend, whether it's during the run of the game or during set pieces, that's a communication breakdown for you. And so it ended okay. It didn't start okay. So
listen, I think we've all been there. We've all been in those conversations. But I figured out that instead of going in like guns cocked and ready for a fight, if I go in the opposite way, listen, see if I can get their walls down a little bit. Now it's, hey, we're all trying to make this the best team, the best academy, the best goalkeepers, all that, and we're on the same team, So that's, for me, that's what I figured out that works.
That's a valid point, John. It's a valid point. You're saying that we're on the same team. It seems like, I work with the ODP program here in Jersey, and we were doing walls one day, or not corner kicks, and every coach seemed to have their own philosophy in corner kicks. So now the kids are all scattered. They come up and they ask, "Okay, how do you want us to do it?" I says, "Well, first of all, I think you need to determine what you like to have as a goalkeeper, and then let us know, and then we can relay that to the team coaches." And but what turned out to be is that the team coaches came to the two of us, goalkeeper coaches, and asked us how do we want to set the defensive organization up on corner kicks. So we mapped it out. They said cool, because that's one less thing they have to worry about now.
Yeah.
And then we trained that to all the players. So, but you got to break that wall down. And when I was I'm at PDA as well. And one of the I mentioned this in another podcast too, I think. One of the good things about COVID was that we could not train the goalkeepers as a unit, because if one got sick, the whole club would have to shut down because, the different teams and age groups. So what we did is that it gave us an opportunity now to go around and watch team practices. So we were there, we got to stand behind the goal. We started working with goalkeepers more in a training environment. And what that turned out to be was magnificent, because the head coaches started asking us goalkeeper coaches more what we think, what do we see, what's going on, from a goalkeeper's perspective. And then at the same time, where it gave us a chance to see their coaching style, what they want to do. So I think that's a big problem that we have, and you talked about it, where you might have your kids 45 minutes. Now they're off to their teams. There seems to be a great disconnect there because of not having the goalkeeper coaches being able to get behind the goal and coach the goalkeepers there,
So it's a great point. So one of the things I first did when I first got here and looked at the whole thing, when I first got here, it was train the first group for 45 minutes, send them off. Next group comes in right away. I said, no, we're going to change that. So they come to goalkeeper training. When we send that first group back to their teams, my goalkeeper coaches are now walking around, coaching them in the tactical environment, in their team environment. And I said, yes, it's going to make for a little bit longer night for my coaches, right? Than just repping them out and then being able to go home. But we're not only going to give them their technical piece of the puzzle, we're going to give them their tactical. And my goalkeeper coaches are going to be behind the goal or in the goal, and coaching them in that team environment. And as well as you just said, Paul, now interacting with the head coaches of these teams, learning what, certain things they want on that team or this team, and having a relationship that way on a Saturday when my goalkeeper coach is on your bench and, you guys are discussing something and, that your goalkeeper just did or didn't do, right? You guys have some sort of relationship, not the fact of like, well, I've never talked to the goalkeeper coach and now he or she is sitting on my bench and we're in an argument because I don't agree with him or her, right? So the more we can get our goalkeeper coaches team environment, for the betterment of the goalkeepers in the tactical piece of it, but also the better the relationship with all the coaches in the club. And then what does that do? It does what we were just talking about, Don, a few minutes ago. It starts pulling walls down. And next thing you know, you're getting text messages from, or in the coaches group chat about the goal. Oh, little Molly, she had an unbelievable save this weekend. And we just talked about that this week, right? Like, again, it's us. We're all together, right? We were just talking about that. Like everybody's together.
One coach in the club I work with, where he's constantly texting me about stuff that the player did during the game and good or bad. I have that with one. And I try to reach out to the other goalkeeper or not, other field coaches. And I don't hear anything about it.
Do you guys have one big group chat, coaches group chat for the club? I figure most people do, right? With just their coaches. So we have it here. And again, when I first came and they added me to it, every Saturday they just, we lost 3-2 to whoever, and little Johnny, he was terrible, and that's all you hear. The goalkeeper cost us 3 goals. Okay, there's no explanation. So there's no substance to the text. You're just complaining about your goalkeeper. So I let this go for a few weeks, right? But everyone came in. I saw it. Finally, one of the coaches, and it was one of our older girls teams, it was the same guy like 3 weeks in a row. And I finally said to him, okay, well, I know we record every game, so why don't you clip it? Why don't you send it to me? Then there was an excuse, of course, why he couldn't do that. And I said, okay, then let's meet. I'm at the facility every day. Come by when you're here. You know where my office is. Let's discuss it. But give me some sort of substance that I can take back to my goalkeeper coaches to try to fix. Not just this, Molly cost us again this week, and Molly cost us again. And every time I put her in goal, it's like we're starting 2 goals down, right? So I eventually be very stern in the entire group chat and just said, listen, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. If you want to bring me videos or any of my goalkeeper coaches video analysis for us to look at, if you want to have discussions, absolutely. We will take this to our goalkeepers and put it into our training session. But we're not here just for you to say, well, she cost us again, without any substance to the conversation. And it was pretty interesting to watch the coaches group chat after that week. More specific. They got more specific. And in fact of like, hey, Bushy, take a look at this video when you have time. John came out for a cross, misjudged it, or, the lack of communication. All of a sudden, they started giving myself and our goalkeeper staff, who were all on this chat, they started actually giving a substance to their text messages about a game, not just, oh, my goalkeeper cost us again. Right. So sometimes you do have to, you were saying, Don, earlier, like, maybe I need to be softer. Sometimes you do need to, like, put your foot down in the right way. But now all of a sudden, okay, I'm holding my line. Stop just yapping and give me some context to it. And let's try to fix it together.
Booyah.
Now's the time.
I thought you were just. I thought you were.
No.
No.
I
thought you were.
He has these muscle twitches we can't figure out.
You see the smoke coming out of his ears right now? He's ready.
I've been waiting the whole like Don and Paul know what I'm gonna say, so I'm gonna throw this at you, Johnny. This is my ideal situation, club environment. I've personally, through my experience, have had the most success and the most development with any goalkeeper when I have access to their film, when I have access to them, and when I have access to being a part of the team. Meaning I am working with, just like, for instance, think of a college or the pro environment. You have a head coach, you have an assistant coach, and on that staff, you have a goalkeeper coach. Mm-hmm. Imagine if you were 12-year-old little goalkeeper Johnny, and you and your goalkeeper buddy, the two goalkeepers on the team, had a coach with you at every training session, not just 45 minutes with the goalkeepers down the other end of the field, which is needed, But now you'll get that with that coach while your team is warming up, doing their technical stuff. You're doing the same thing somewhere else, just getting your technical reps in, getting the meat and potatoes done. But then when the team comes together to work together, that goalkeeper coach is a part of the culture of the team because he's on staff. They're at every training
100%.
session. They're at
100%.
every game. They're at every tournament. And the feedback I'm getting is that we don't have enough goalkeeper coaches to do that. I disagree with that, by the way, and I can get onto that in a little bit later. But I feel that, and you where you're going with your club is in that direction. I'm going to give you this one's free, Johnny. You don't have to charge me for this. I'm not going to charge you. But your next step, I think, again, this is me. No one else agrees with me, except I feel if you could add, you have 8 to 9 coaches. Each head coach, each assistant coach has 2 or 3 teams, like you mentioned earlier. Typically with that same assistant, so they can kind of bounce back and forth. And if one can't make it, the other can. They can figure out schedules. Add a goalkeeper coach to that mix. Let there be 3 coaches with every team. Now it's cost versus development is the other thing I hear back. Oh, too much. It's too expensive to put all these goalkeeper coaches on salary because now they're going away from the hourly rate. Now they're going into a salary rate.
Yeah.
Director or owners won't do that. Tough. You're talking development versus cost, and you're leaning on the side of cost versus development. And that's what's happening with a lot of clubs. A lot of like investment firms are coming in as a business opportunity and running clubs, and it's going through financial advisors to figure out if this is worth it for the bottom line. That's not what clubs are about. Clubs are about goal development. Every player on the team. So I'm proposing that to you before Don. Hold on, Don. I've waited 40 minutes for this. You wait. But Bushy, I want to hear your thoughts on why this.
Can we not have the alternate side of that?
No, I think I think it's great, Eric. I think, again, like anything else, you can't go from A to Z in the alphabet.
I agree with that.
Right? You got to take your steps forward.
Yep.
Right. And you got to gradually move the pendulum, and eventually you'll get there. I mean, my next step is I want a full-time assistant goalkeeper director. I want somebody in this building every day with me. And Austin's almost there as far as the amount of time he puts in, but not salary-wise. But that, in my eyes, is my next step. And then eventually, in all honesty, and I've already talked to Dan Visser, the sporting director, about this, and as we continue to grow, right, and Eric, everything we've got going on, not just on the men's side, but also on the women's side here, eventually I want to have 2 goalkeeper directors underneath me, one on the female side, one on the male side, because eventually, most likely, our summer team for the females is probably going to turn into a full-time pro team, right, just like we have with the Riverhounds. So what I want underneath them, so we have the whole pecking order on both sides, is I'm at the top, and then I have somebody overseeing everything females, somebody overseeing everything males, and now we have from top to bottom, from the grassroots all the way up to both sides of the pros. But again, that's bigger picture, as you were saying. That's where I want to go.
Yeah. I just think that by having a goalkeeper coach on staff, you're going to eliminate all the miscommunications because the goalkeeper coach is directly involved with the planning of sessions. They're there during games, or they're there for games too. I don't think a lot of goalkeepers get game analysis or feedback. They get junk from head coaches that don't know anything about the position. So you get comments like, hey, you got to communicate more, man. We have communication issues. What does that mean?
No,
to a 12-year-old kid, what does that mean? Like,
No,
I just think kids need to be educated more, and I think here's a way to bridge that gap.
Absolutely. Go on, Don. You've been holding it for a while.
Yep.
Come
Go
on,
ahead,
come on.
Donnie.
I think Jon is in a unique situation. Like we learned,
100%.
you got 9 to 10 goalkeeper coaches. That is, I haven't heard of that anywhere else. Okay, so bravo to you.
I fought for that, Don, right? Like that's something you got to keep in mind. When I got here, there were only 3 or 4, you know, and like I said, it was this is, if you guys want to do this right, this is what we need.
Yeah.
And I've gradually added every year. You know,
I agree exactly with what Eric says in a utopia of a youth club, right? With goalkeeping. I agree with that 100%. I think reality, right? So you think this is what it should be, and then you get there, and this reality is we shouldn't just be hiring. I mean, you talk about we don't have enough goalkeeper coaches to do that, 1 per team. We're just, if we do that, we're just hiring anybody, you know. Can you serve the ball at the goal? Great. You're a goalkeeper trainer, not a coach, right?
Yeah.
And so I would think it would be more like in the setup that you're talking about, a goalkeeper director, 1 for males, 1 for females director. And then you may be able to have 2, maybe 3 goalkeeper coaches under them. And they may be given, you've got 10s to 12s, you've got 13s to 14s, and another one's got 15s to 18s, because they all 3 need very different things, 100%. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that is more the reality instead of a coach, a goalkeeper coach for every team, because the money, look, the DOC is not going to give up half his salary to
it's not. Where'd that cost come from? That was just a made up half their salary. Hold on. We're not talking a huge change in. Like, look at Johnny's staff. He's got 8 or 9 guys on his staff.
But he's got a professional organization that is backing that.
But yeah.
We do have a lot of
fair point.
Let's be honest. They have deeper pockets than, say, you know, CFC whatever.com club, right?
I want to go back to something you said a second ago, Don, and you're 100% right. So when I'm looking at a new possible coach here, right, we will bring him or her in for a week or 2, let them, and Austin usually is here with them and just showing them how we kind of do things, right? And then involving them as kind of an assistant in that session. And then when Austin feels that person is comfortable enough to run a session, we will then have that goalkeeper coach run a session. I will come out and watch. And not only will Austin and I, A, ready to kind of join us, but B, also what level ready to join us at? Because I've got some that are very good with the youngers, and they struggle a little bit with the olders. I've got some that can do everything. The young lady I was telling you about earlier, Bella, who's also at Duquesne. Okay, she was here from the beginning when I got here. I can give her anything. I could give her my pro boys. That good. I never worry about if she's got males or females. She can handle everything.
Yeah.
So you're going to have all these different levels. And again, as the director and overseeing it all, to get the best for these kids in those environments, when I look at the weekly schedule, I try to make sure that if a goalkeeper coach is better with the youngsters, you know, I try to make sure we keep them there or her there. So that, you know, that fits perfectly. And now I try to push the ones that are better with the olders and can be in those environments to them. That way, you know, the development continues there, if that makes sense.
We will be back after this message from our sponsors.
Goalkeepers, what does your goalkeeping development roadmap look like? Are you focusing on all 5 elements of development of a goalkeeper? Those 5 elements are your technical abilities, your tactical understanding of the game, your physical growth, your psychological balance, and your leadership skills. If you answer no to any of those elements of development, you are not fully developing yourself as a goalkeeper. Here at the United Goalkeeping Alliance, we focus on developing goalkeepers through education of goalkeeping specific moments in the game, all while featuring the 5 elements of a goalkeeper's development. For $199 for the year, yes, the cost of 2 one-hour private training sessions, you will have the opportunity to participate in weekly live educational sessions on goalkeeping specific topics. You can also take advantage of our library of over 250 hours of recorded goalkeeping educational content. You have the opportunity to participate in goalkeeping specific mentorships. You'll have an immediate connection to college goalkeeper coaches. You'll also have the opportunity to have 24/7 online support. You'll also receive discounts for gloves, equipment, camps, and clinics. So goalkeepers, if you'd like to learn more on how the United Goalkeeping Alliance can support you with your goalkeeping developmental roadmap, please contact us at the information above. I'm Eric Eisenhut of the United Goalkeeping Alliance. Now back to our podcast.
And now back to our episode.
Okay, so I want to turn this into another direction, sort of.
Okay.
It sounds like to me what you're talking about is mentoring / education.
Yeah, that's it. There's definitely a piece of it.
Okay.
For sure.
And so being on the Federation staff of coach education, where are we missing it? Because this leads to developing those coaches, those goalkeeper coaches at the youngest levels, which right now, okay, and here's what I found out through my research, because I haven't seen a goalkeeper course done. I've seen them I've heard about them talked about. Have you done a USSF goalkeeping course?
I did the C when it first came out. I was in the pilot program. The very first one was at a year and a half. I don't know. It wasn't this past summer. I think it was the summer before.
Okay. So it seems like since 2018, so in 2018 they did the pilot program with the A license. I think they only did one course.
Yeah.
And then sort of got shelved.
Yeah.
And it was geared toward, in their own words, senior professional environment. So you're missing all the youth.
Yeah.
Then they come out with the C, the Goalkeeper C, which you must have a C license to attend. And it's U13 and above. And so we're still missing that element
the grassroots
of the coaches. There's goalkeeper coaches out there that don't want to do the C license because they don't want to coach a team. And we're missing that element, right?
For sure.
We've made it restrictive. So, of course, and cost effective. Let's say it's expensive to do these courses. So what was your take on the C license? Because I got my own from what I haven't attended, but from what I've heard. What was your experience?
Enjoyed it again. It was the very first one they did on the pilot program. There were 4 of us from pro environments in there, and the rest were academy people. Which wasn't, good or bad. It was just, they kind of put us in our little group of 4. Like you said, it was geared towards, I think if I remember correctly, like 13s through 15s, I think is the age group. So not only when we did the Zooms on the Monday nights, but when we got in person for those couple of days, we kind of said to them of like, okay, we're all coming from pro environments. Right. It's a little bit different when we're talking about, periodization for a week, for instance. Right. I see my goalkeepers days a week in a game, the rest being 5 days of training, and they have one off day. You're talking about in this course, you're talking about 2 days a week of training. I said, we do that for our academy, but you got to keep in mind, right? We're coming from a pro environment where 6 days a week we have our goalkeepers, in some capacity. So, I enjoyed it. I really did. I think they made some changes from, the first one to the second one to the third one. Now I think it's kind of, continuing to grow and learn. I wish they would do more. I've been waiting, honestly, I think a year and a half now for the B to come out. I do agree with what you said a few minutes ago too, where I'm going to be stuck in a situation once I take the B, because I don't have my A regular coaching license. And, do I want to spend a year now doing my regular A just to be able to go to the goalkeeper?
Yeah.
I don't want to be head coach. I've said that from the day I started coaching. I love my world of goalkeeping. So why should I not be able to take my A if I have my B and my C and I'm in a pro environment? So you're telling me I can't because I don't have a team environment A. I do have my opinions on that as well. I think something to think about, is also the United Soccer coaches, right? I know they're revamping theirs as well now. I've taught, since I've been here, I've taught 1 level, 2 level, 3 every summer. And I've done, I think, one winter, 2 winners, right? Where I bring them in for a couple of days here. Just because we have the facility, we have the environment. In the summertime, I base it around our home games. So it makes for kind of a really cool weekend around a pro game. But I also think that those are more of your grassroots coaches, right? I was getting everything from dad who just coaches the local high school team to college coaches to college head coaches at smaller schools, just wanting to learn about goalkeeping. So maybe that's the direction that the grassroots coaches maybe have to go to at this point, you know?
Do you think the USC, honestly, I did all 4, state, regional, national, then the advanced. I really didn't think until the advanced level, it really got into really the heart of goalkeeping. A lot of it was just like, okay, and it was repetitive up until that point. I just think that it hurts your ability to hire. If they don't, they can have experience. Let's be honest here. Because you play professionally does not mean you understand how to develop youth. Okay?
Yeah.
And if you do haven't played professionally, you may be great at developing youth players to go on through that pathway, right? But I think the federation needs to lower that some, because like you said, there's coaches out there that don't want to be a team head coach. They love the goalkeeping part of it. And I think we're restricting it too much to give the information to the people that really need it at the grassroots and the youth level, to give them that element so they can progress right up to the
100%.
goalkeeper.
It's
frustrating. And I know I read an article that was written by Bill Reno back in, I want to say 2020. And it used, Peter Meller. And he talked about Phil Weldon quite a bit. Peter was the main one that talked about the struggles, really the topic of struggles of the United States maintaining goalkeeper dominance. And it all centered around exactly what we're talking about. The Federation has not dedicated the resources to develop goalkeeper coaches, right?
Correct.
And it's led to where we are now in 2025 is we really don't have a national keeper that can compete on the world level. Would you
agree? Because we were spoiled back in, you know, when I had a cup of coffee with the national team under Bruce Arena and also under Bob Bradley, you know, I was around Casey Keller. I was around young Tim Howard. I was around Marcus Hanneman. I was around Brad Friedel, right? I mean, you think back to that time, we had a plethora of quality goalkeepers, not quality just in the MLS, quality in the world, right? Casey at the top of his game, Brad at the top of his game, Timmy coming up, you know, all of that. And now you look at it and it's the opposite. Yeah. Do we have very good goalkeepers in the MLS, a Matt Freeze or somebody like that? Absolutely. But the quantity isn't there like we had back then. When I was there, we had basically 2 pools goalkeepers. We had the European boys, which were the big timers like Casey. Casey walked through the door and we're like, there's Casey Keller. I mean, it was awesome to watch. And then we had all us MLS boys, you know, myself, Kevin Hartman, Joe Cannon, Nick Raimondo, Matt Reese, like, you know, so now you have another pool of 5, 6, and Troy Perkins, 5, 6, 7 MLS guys. Like the pool back then was so darn deep. And now you look at it and you go, I mean, we just went from, you know, and they're both very good goalkeepers. Matt Turner was supposedly the next guy. And now all of a sudden, Matt Freeze is now the next guy. You know, and it's like, it seems like we don't really have that stud like a Casey or a Brad anymore, you know?
All right, Eric, you're chewing it a bit.
I want to go back to the my opinion real quickly on why or what the Federation can do to get more goalkeeper coaches out there. Reverse how they're doing, like flip it. Right now, it's like if you're a goalkeeper coach and you want to be a goalkeeper coach, you have to take all these head coaching licensing to get up to a certain level, and then you can go do goalkeeping like a bit part. Flip that. Like, I think head coaches should go all the way up to a certain point, then do goalkeeping, and then go back over to the B or the A or whatever. I think it should be reversed.
For sure.
And I think the goalkeepers, for the people who are just out of school, the graduate assistants, the 20-year-old goalkeeper coaches from 22 to 30, they need their licensing, and they're not going to spend, to your time, John, all that money and time to get up to their certain level of head coach and then flop over. It just doesn't work. So if we're going to get more goalkeepers developed, we need more goalkeeper coaches. I just think they have that completely backwards, and they should consider flipping that.
I actually agree. I agree with that. You know, like, I think if you want to be a head coach at, you know, at let's say at a senior level, you need to at least get your C goalkeeper license, maybe even your B, right? You need to have a decent understanding. You don't need to be at top of the goalkeeping world per se, but you know, the fact that you don't do any, I remember, and again, it's 100 years ago now, but when I took my B, I was playing in Columbus, and back then it was a 9-day, you know, so a bunch of us did it in our off season one year.
On the field.
Yeah. Myself, John Harks, Chris Kelderman, I mean, a bunch of guys that were playing in MLS. We just went down to Cocoa, Florida and took it. In that 9 days, you know, because Peter was working with the Federation at the time, he came over for, I don't know if it was a full day. It may have been a full day, but I at least know it was half the day. And that was the entire piece of goalkeeping back then.
Yeah.
Of the B coaching license. Right. And so, yeah, we have an issue. Now we're getting these courses. Great. Fantastic. But again, if I don't want to be a head coach, I've never wanted to be a head coach. I never want that. But I love my goalkeeping world. Why can't I just stay in my lane and go all the way up? Because that is what I'm good at.
Do you think the head coaches would like bark at that a little bit, because they say, well, listen, that's why we hire goalkeeper coaches, for them to do that job? But then the caveat there is that they don't have any kind of association with the goalkeeper coach to a point where they're solving problems that need to be solved. You know, when I was getting back to when I was through the COVID and how we had a chance now to meet run the goalkeeper sessions from behind the goal, what that did for me personally within the club was it helped me get to know the coach's philosophies a little more. And then eventually, which I thought was great, and I was very glad to see it, it evolved to a point where at half times now in our games that we play, they would come up and say, okay, Blodge, what do you see here? What can we do? And I'd actually would have a conversation with the whole team and what I saw defensively, organization, and so on. And it's like a light went off with these kids. It's because I'm going, well, this should have been, at least the defensive organization should have been taught. And more associations don't do that. They concentrate on the attack all the time, and they expect the goalkeepers get in and run the show, or they expect their backs to be so good they should know what's going on. When it doesn't work that way. You know, you must develop an organizational aspect of defense has to be mastered in order for you to be successful at it. So that was a great jump for what I thought for us and for me personally, because I knew the coaches, I knew what they wanted, and they respected in reverse a lot. So now they started asking us, okay, what do you guys see? We need more of that for sure, I think.
Absolutely. There has to be collaboration.
Yeah.
There has to be collaboration.
John, I want to ask you this because it's just sort of a curious question. When I did my B license in Bradenton, Florida, even when I did my C, I'll use both of them. When the goalkeeper coach came in to talk to us, it was like everybody's radar and focus went up another 10 degrees. Like, we want to hear this.
Yeah.
And then for the rest of it, it's sort of like, okay. We're doing this. When the goalkeeper coach came in from the United States national team, it was just like everybody's attention was spot on. Was that the same with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody wants to hear it. They want that information. I don't think there's a lack of interest in having the information. I think to Paul's point, there might be some pushback if they had to do both. But if you had grassroots, D, C, B, and then based on wherever you stopped in your coaching license, that's probably where you stop at your goalkeeper license, like C and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that would be more attractive to people such as yourself, Bushy,
Yeah.
that I don't want to be a head coach, but I still want to be able to go get my goalkeeper license. So if I don't have a B, I can still go up and get it. I just don't want to go that other pathway, because I want to be honest. I teach it and I have all kinds of opinions about it, but it is too expensive being one of it. $5,000? Are you kidding me?
My brother teaches them, and I tell him all the time, I'm like, man, you guys want my money. I don't know. I can't do that. I need a loan. I need a loan to go there.
They'll put yourself in like a mid 20-year-old, 28-year-old kid who doesn't have a well-paid job. How are they supposed to get their education? So, like, can we make it easier for head coaches, young goalkeeper coaches? Can we make it easier for people to get goalkeeping knowledge and to be educated? You're right, Don. A lot of it comes down to the dollar and helping. I don't know.
Federation, show me the money.
But I also think, again, going back to what I was saying a few minutes ago, like United Soccer coaches, right? Like that's another avenue. And I know the ones I've done here, I've had, 20 plus coaches each time I've done them, right? And they're only a couple $100 compared to a couple thousand, right? And I always try to do, try to make it time sensitive for people. Of like, when I was doing the 1 and the 2 and the 3, I literally would do level 1 on a Friday afternoon, level 2 start a Saturday morning, and back them up so they could literally come to Pittsburgh for a weekend and get one, level 1, level 2. And then if you want, come back next weekend and we'll knock out the level 3. So in a whole week, you just knocked out 3 courses, right? So I think we in general as goalkeeper coaches and whatnot throughout the US, like we need to figure this stuff out. Like I'm in the middle of a conversation with the powers to be at United Coaches again about this summer. Now that we just got our game schedule, I want to do the same thing. I know they're revamping what they're doing at the Coaches Association, but I want to do one weekend where there's a goalkeeping level 2, and the following weekend I want to run a national one here, because that's the biggest thing I've heard of, like, there's not enough national level goalkeeper courses going. So I'm like, listen, we've got the facility, indoor, outdoor, we've got the meeting rooms, whatever you need, let's host it here. So I'm trying to do as best I can, in our environment to try to keep building here, because like I said, we are very fortunate with the facility that we have here. We can do it rain or shine. So
I think, Johnny, your point, and we've been talking about this pretty much the whole session, it comes down to knowledge. And the reason we're coming at goalkeeper coaching education and head coaches with more goalkeeping education, the bottom line is we want to influence our goalkeepers. And if we don't know enough about the position, or if we're not setting up our environment where goalkeepers are learning, the whole team is going to take a knock, because that goalkeeper is the one who is expected to communicate, to lead, to stay connected in all defensive situations. And we don't give them enough information or education on how to handle that. And I feel if coaches have that information, they can help goalkeepers in games, in training. It doesn't have to be a goalkeeper coach that helps these kids. This could be head coaches too. But we just need more goalkeeping knowledge out there. And to your point, whether it's classes, whether it's diplomas, licensing, whether it's the UGKA and just getting educated through what we offer, like there needs to be more goalkeeping knowledge in general within the U.S. soccer community. And again,
absolutely agree. I absolutely agree.
That said, Johnny, we always like giving the subject matter expert, in this case, you today, our final words, and then we're going to kick you out. We're going to kick you out of the club, and then Blige, Don, and I are going to sit here and talk about you for a few minutes. So you have the final words, sir. Go right ahead.
Just remember, checks are in the mails, boys. Checks are in the mails. Speak nice.
It must be the holiday delay with the mail system.
It'll be there.
All right. I'll keep an eye out.
Just checks anymore. Venmo it.
Listen, gentlemen, I appreciate it. I love talking goalkeeping. So I appreciate your time today. As far as me, if anybody's interested to talk further with me, you can always find me at my glove company, HPG, on Instagram, HPG_GK. And come say hello, check us out, and let's talk goalkeeping.
John,
we've talked. Hold on. One second. Hold on. Bushy, give me your final opinion on this topic. Give us something to end with. I love what you're promoting.
yeah, what is it?
I agree with everything you said. I love your gloves.
Okay.
I love what you do. But right now, we want to hear about. Come on, summarize this bad boy.
I think this is an not endless topic, but it's a topic that can keep going, right? And if you think back to what we talked about from the very beginning, there's always this idea of this is the perfect scenario, right? The perfect working environment, the perfect amount of coaches, the perfect amount of space for training, all that. Then again, you pick up the hood of the car and you thought you had this nice, beautiful engine, and next thing you know, you got a lawnmower engine. How do you make it work? Right. And that's the environments we're in. It doesn't matter if we're in a club environment, pro environment, there's always goods and bads of every place you go. Right. We're sitting here talking about coaching education. We all want more coaching education just to make things better. We all have opinions on how that possibly could work, so I think it's an ongoing conversation that we're all just trying to make our goalkeepers as best they can. And we're trying to educate ourselves as best we can as well.
Love it, my man. Love it.
Yeah,
Love it. Hey,
good
real
stuff,
quick,
John.
give us a showcase of the show. There it is.
Yeah,
there it is.
nice,
High performance goalkeeping, Johnny
I
Busch.
put that on just for you today, Eric. Just for you.
Hey, in lieu of checks, you can send us all 3 gloves.
Yeah, hey.
We could talk, Donnie. We could talk.
Really, from being sincere, we've talked a couple of times through curriculum development. I tried to get you on staff for Florida ODP when you were down there. I appreciate everything you do. I think you're first class in what you do. You have great opinions. You implement great things. I appreciate you and consider you a friend and a great colleague. So thank you for being here. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's great having you, John, for sure. And it's nice to see somebody of your background and knowledge of the game getting the position where you are. I think you have where you are, you have a great deal of influence. And people like you are very badly needed. And you seem to be a nice guy, too, which is cool.
Don't let it fool you.
I know. Eric told me to throw that in, so I did.
I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, your checks are in the mail, Don. Don't worry. I see you down there. I appreciate the kind words, boys. You guys go enjoy. I got to get back to work now.
All right. Thank you very much, John. Pleasure.
Have
Happy
a good
holidays.
day, guys.
Bye, Johnny.
See ya.
We will be back after this message from our sponsors.
Hello, clubs. What is your goalkeeper culture like? Do you have 1 to 2 people that just does it all, whether they're down the other end of the field running a goalkeeper training session? Maybe they're helping a head coach out in a team training session. Maybe they attend all tournaments and games and give in-game feedback. They help with individual development plans. They help in the recruiting initiative. Simply put, they can't do it all. Here at the United Goalkeeping Alliance, we're here to be your supplemental resource for all things goalkeeping. We start with education. We will help assist in the goalkeeping development through educating your goalkeepers on goalkeeping specific topics featuring the 5 elements of development: your tactical understanding, your technical abilities, the physical growth of a goalkeeper, the psychological balance, and the leadership skills needed to be a great goalkeeper. We have over 250 hours of recorded content for all of your goalkeepers and coaches and parents to take advantage of. We offer mentorships for both goalkeepers and goalkeeper coaches. We offer lesson plan support and curriculum support for coaches. If you'd like to learn more about the United Goalkeeping Alliance and how we can help your club get to the next level with your goalkeeping culture as a supplemental resource, please utilize the contact information above. This is Eric Eisenhut of the United Goalkeeping Alliance, and now back to the episode.
And now back to our episode.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
His culture he's creating there has come a long way in 3 years.
Has he been there 3 years?
So I think he said 3. Yeah.
Because I tried to get him when he was in Florida. I can't remember what club he was with in Florida. I was like, oh my God, could we get him on staff with ODP?
Yeah.
Right. And because of time constraints and things, he couldn't do it. I felt like that was 2023. So, I'm old. My mind wanders with timelines and stuff. So
It's nice to see. It's nice to see a guy like that who's has the influence, the position that is going after it and really trying to get it done. I mean, that's inspirational. To be honest with you, we definitely need a bunch of Jon Bushes around. We definitely need them.
it crazy though how even someone at his stature, it's taken him 3 years to get all these things done. You know what I mean? Like you would think someone who comes in, again, I know like we don't want to play that, hey, I know everything role, right? But you want to have influence, and he's influencing tremendously. But imagine if you were like a 28 to 34-year-old goalkeeping director, newly assigned to a club. Like you don't have that stroke of a Jon Busch based on all his experience. Like, how do you go
No.
about influencing your head coaches and your directors to help with the goalkeeping education?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very difficult for sure. And it's also intimidating. I mean,
Agreed.
for a fledgling goalkeeper coach coming into an environment where the head coaches always had the priorities of everything, it's a lot to take on, and you really have to take super baby steps when you probably should be taking a little bit bigger steps to get things done. But you're trying to work your way and get the respect, build the programs, all that kind of stuff. And it's just the same old story, a lot of cases where as long as, long as the club has got somebody in there representing the goalkeepers in their training and so on, that seems to be the norm where people are going to be okay with that, to try and push that more and more and more to higher level, incorporating more things that's going to help the goalkeepers. It's such a wall built up against that. It's a sad thing, and I've seen it for my 50 years of doing this stuff, and it's just like, it hasn't gotten much better. It really hasn't in 50 years. It's the same battles all the time. So, hoping with discussions like we had with Jon and having somebody of his experience and so on, expressing exactly what we want to say and how to say it, hopefully we'll have a little more of an influence. So I think this is a very important session that we did today for sure.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah. No.
Since I've been doing this. I mean,
Yeah.
it's always been little peaks, and then it just goes to the desert.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Agreed.
And that's what that article was about. I read it was from 2020 with Peter Meller, that they got the process boiling, right? The education aspect, they had the people in place, and then he moved on and was hoping that Phil Webben would come in and take it over, but the Federation just went,
Yep.
just stop. And it's led to where we are now. But
I'll
where
tell
we
you,
are now is where we were 25 years ago.
I think there's a direct correlation of when we talked about the drop off the national level goalkeeping. We're good, but we're not great. Like we were great. And I think there's a correlation between that and how the whole process of development of goalkeeping, goalkeepers is not advanced. It stayed the same. So maybe because of the fact that it has stayed the same, uh, we're just developing mediocrity right now. We're not developing really high class, world class, top level world class people to compete and teach the position. It's like we need to jump. We got to get a peak going here. We got to get a rise going on this thing somehow. And because I think it's showing at all levels, from grassroots up to the national level. I think it's showing all the way through.
Well, the argument could be made by those detractors would say, well, back in the day when we had Keller and Friedel and them, we didn't have coach education back then. So why is it equivalent to that now? But could it be that?
Can I answer that?
Well, the other point of it, maybe the world has passed us by in coach education, goalkeeper education, and training, and the United States is sort of static. What worked in the past, it ought to work now, and that is not the case. To your point.
Don, to that point too, though, man, like you mentioned his name, like we had Peter Miller there running the show, and when he left, like he was coaching all those guys. You know what I mean? So he was the reason, I believe, that we had such a powerful stable of goalkeepers, because of the likes of him. You remove him, remove the education component, and this federation doesn't take it on. Who do we have coaching and leading these goalkeepers? I don't think we do. And I think it's not only that level, it's all levels, in my opinion. But you're kind of gonna take on to what you see, right? And what do we see in the United States? We don't see a lot of goalkeeping education. We don't see a lot of goalkeeper coaches having influence. So what do clubs do? They do what they see, and they stay in that paradigm of, well, that's the way it's always been. But doesn't make it right. And I think it starts with education. I mean, you guys hear me say this all the time. But I do. I feel here's the other thing. I think parents can call out clubs too, because how many times have they sold the club, sold, here's our game model, goalkeeping game model, here's our curriculum, and then they have one person running the show from inside the club from a director's standpoint, and then everything just gets dropped because it's only one person. Like I think parents kind of get fooled based on what the club is selling pre-registration. Here's what we provide, and they don't. My advice to parents would be call goalkeepers already in that club, talk to parents. Are they getting what the club is saying they're getting?
But here, to your point, if other parents call other parents, if parents don't really know what they're looking at, they're going to tell them, oh, yeah, it's great, da, 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 da. And so now they lead those people, the sheep, into an environment that's just a bunch of, we're going to serve balls at you.
Yeah. So you're right, though, John. It's like, okay, well, do parents know what to ask for, right? Do they know to ask for a game curriculum?
There's the key point. What are they really looking at?
Yeah.
Because I think we brought this up with Tim or Mike, was parents think if you're not jumping around like a fish out of water during a training session, they don't think you're doing any goalkeeping. When there's so much more to that. And then after a few sessions, and I brought it up just my experience, parents come to me and go, wow, I didn't know really there was that much to it. It's a huge difference. Key word, education. Right? It's my opportunity through my training session to educate the parents if they stay around and watch. This is what it should look like at your club. Right? And if it's not, you gotta call them out. But a lot of parents won't call them out because what happens on the other side of that?
Kids don't play.
They don't play. They're the squeaky wheel. They're complaining. They're calling out too much. So they're a problem.
Yeah.
And it's guys, really, don't get me started. That's another soapbox thing.
I think I had a conversation with Peter Miller, and I believe it was Peter Miller. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But when they came, I think they came to him, the Federation came to him and said, okay, we'd like to develop a curriculum.
Yep.
Okay. So
according to that article, yes.
Yeah. So Peter spent the whole weekend putting together a curriculum as an outline, provided it to the Federation and said, okay, here you go. Now I'd like to start developing each part of this curriculum. The Federation said, no, that's all we want. Just an outline. So, and it just, I mean, when I heard that, it was like, wait a minute now, that's totally incorrect. They just wanted to cover the bases.
Okay, so in the article, quote from Peter, I put together a program and I went to the Federation.
Okay.
I had to fight a little bit to get it implemented. I said, look, the NSCAA already has level 1 and 2, which is grassroots, which we believe in. Why don't we adopt that as our grassroots level? And then I'll write a full goalkeeping license for the Federation. It'll be a week-long course. So I had to fight to get the two to work together, right? And so he said the course was a resounding success. But the Federation killed it once he stepped away.
Yeah.
So weird.
He wants to say that there were probably 400 to 500 coaches went through this course that he put together.
Wow.
John, is there a timestamp on that? Like when that took place?
2020. Well, the article was written in 2020.
But Peter he was way before that, right? Like,
well, this.
Yeah, but he was still involved with he was involved with the Federation during that time, I'm sure. He's been around there for a long time.
Up until 2020?
I think. Yeah, he was.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, okay. I think so.
He might be somebody great to get on.
Peter's a wonderful man, by the way. Wonderful man.
I've never met Peter, but I've heard he's influenced so many people.
Yes, he has.
The goalkeeping community here in the United States.
Okay, so here's another quote from him in the article. We had it going. It was boiling. We are getting coaching education out, and that's the key. So when he moved on to Real Salt Lake as an assistant coach, and stepped down from his full-time position. This was in 2005, according to this. He assumed that the Federation would replace him, put him in his position, and he hoped that it was Phil Webber, and they didn't do it. So,
all
righty. Well, hey guys, go ahead, Paul. Don, I'm sorry, Paul. What were you going to say? Sorry.
No, I just say he just pulled the rug out. You know, that's what they did. So.
Well, guys,
we're all in agreement. It's got to be, so far, the common theme between all these is education. Parents, coaches, and then we can start to hire, like Jon's point, more people to come in and have a staff. Until then, you're just hiring people like, well, I played goalkeeper in high school. Well, great. Wonderful. I took calculus in college. That doesn't mean I can teach it.
Well, I'm ready for this honest question. You get a kid graduating from college and they want to come in and be that goalkeeper coach. And we're saying you don't have any diplomas or license, blah, 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 blah. Is that person's knowledge just as good at or better than a head coach's knowledge of the position? And could potentially coincide?
It's probably about the position as good as a head coach is in most cases. But I think Jon's got it absolutely right. You bring them in, you watch it, you put them with somebody else that you trust, or if there's nobody else, you. And then if you feel like they could run a session, you let them do it and you evaluate, right? Yeah. I mean, I got burned. I'm being honest, because I didn't think I had the time, and really, it's not a think, I didn't. I brought in a guy 4 years ago that wanted to be an assistant goalkeeper coach with the club I was with. And he played on the first team. I think he was like the second or third keeper. And I let him run the younger sessions. And so I showed up one day and hid like Jon did with the parents. And I watched, and it was a show.
Thank you.
Right? And don't timestamp that. And so I was like, I walked out after the session. I was like, what was that? So you've got to do your diligence, your due diligence.
Yeah.
So there you are.
All right, boys. Listen, final words. I'm going to give you each 30 seconds to a minute, and then I'll do final words, and we'll end this thing. Blodge, if I could start with you, sir.
Yeah. First of all, it's wonderful having Jon on and have somebody his caliber and his knowledge and experience, and see that he's, the success he's had in getting something done and what we're trying to strive for is fantastic, but he still had his struggles, so that just shows you that even the people who are more advanced at it, for lack of a better word, of getting things done and being involved with clubs who are able to afford those kinds of things and so on, that's kind of like the tip of the iceberg. I mean, everything else down below is where all the problems are. I mean, he has the problems there too. But if you can see that he's having problems at the level he's at with all the resources he has and so on, then that just sets you right there. Man, no wonder our education is not there, because the bottom part of the pyramid is where it's all, to me, is where it all needs to be developed and concentrate more so we can get more people up to Jon's level and doing the types of things, the clubs that he's doing. And so it was very, very good to have him on.
Don?
Like I think Paul said it all. Jon he's done it at the highest levels for as long as I can remember. If he's having the issues, we're all having the issues, right? Mm-hmm. But it's good to see how he's working through them, right? Because it gives us sort of a blueprint on what to do, how to approach it. And I appreciate Jon and all the guests that we've had, because their knowledge is helping fight the fight, right?
Yep, definitely.
And again, we're getting educated through this process of the podcast, just like everybody else. And again, it's so valuable because, Blodge is in New Jersey. I'm down south. You're in Pittsburgh. We can all take this knowledge and now start to spread the word in our areas and hopefully have some residual effects, right? And so I'm just so appreciative.
Yeah, likewise.
I couldn't agree more. If there was one thing I wish we did, I wish we all had hit Jon with a couple more height jokes. I don't think enough got in there based on Johnny. He does things too, man. People say, "Oh, am I tall enough?" Jon Busch, go look at his career. I say it to kids all the time. If you're good enough, you're tall enough. Yeah. Joking aside, Jon, I think, has a great thing going with where he is. I think the challenge is going to be not at his level, but at those that come in at that position at a lower level with less experience, to try and influence head coaches who may have been there at the club for a while, especially trying to influence a director or a financial advisor or the owner who makes the decisions based on how much money's going into his pocket. I think sometimes they all look at that as cost versus development. I think they're making wrong decisions. but how can we help? And I think coaching and education with the head coaches, and can we figure out a way to get more goalkeeper coaches educated and ready to perform, whether it's with a team or in training sessions at clubs, I feel is necessary too. And I think our education is backwards with the federation, as I mentioned earlier throughout the session, making it harder for younger kids and even accomplished goalkeeper coaches to get their licensing and diplomas. However, I would love to see head coaches continue to work closely with our goalkeeper directors and goalkeeping staff, because that knowledge will help for game feedback. It'll help in training feedback with the team. And the more you guys can get your goalkeeper coach standing in the goal and influencing your goalkeeper on staying connected, positioning, leadership, the better your defense, the better your team's going to be. And I can't stress that enough. You're going to have success. It's just a matter of, can you get that education to the kids during training sessions with the team, not necessarily down the other end of the field with a trainer. Guys,
Cool.
Yeah, guys, have an awesome wherever you are. Thank you for tuning in. I don't know where I was going with that first line. Thank you for everything. Don, Paul, thank you for your time. Until our next episode, have an awesome one, guys. Thank
All
you,
right, thanks, guys.
and thank you.
Thank you for listening to this edition of Crossbar Conversations with Don and Blodge, powered by the United Goalkeeping Alliance, also known as the UGKA. It's the #1 virtual learning platform for goalkeepers in the world. We take the whisperings of goalkeepers from underneath the crossbar and bring them to you in open and honest conversations. Our goal is to catapult the position and its culture into its rightful place, which is the forefront. You as a goalkeeper parent, and coach have chosen the most difficult and demanding position in the game. But always remember, it's the #1 position in the best game in the world. A very special thanks today to UGKA founder Eric Eisenhut for joining us and offering his insights not only in the UGKA, but in goalkeeping in general, and also helping us to help you to understand what Crossbar Conversations are all about and what we're going to be bringing to you. See you next time at Crossbar Conversations with Don and Blodge, with more interesting and fascinating guests. Remember, work hard, play well, and always have fun. Till next time, see you.